Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my favourite Rome Remastered mod, and that is Rome Retrofit. Now, that's a bunch of R's and a whole lot of alliteration there, but bear with me. So, the Retrofit mod for Rome Remastered Total War is kind of a mashup between Rome Total War, Barbarian Invasion, and Rome 2 Total War. The best parts from all of these games taken and implemented into one mod. Now, how does that look like, practically speaking? Well, to be honest with you, you can just go over to the Steam page and read all about it, and you will have a pretty damn good idea. I mean, if you take a look at the features list, you have new factions, civil wars, etc., etc., you just go through that and you will have a pretty good idea of what it's like. What I will say is that the combat is unchanged. So I have pretty much a battle lined up here against some Romans, led by one Captain Vibius, with no cavalry and generally a very poor army, but, you know, it is what it is. Maybe they can't afford better, and I probably will have to defend against these guys, even though I'm on good terms with them. They look like they're going to besiege Carthage. Either way, and also another battle here. I was going to show you one of these battles, but there isn't much point since it's just the vanilla game, right? What isn't the vanilla game, though, is, well, first of all, the settlements. There are new settlements on the map. Not too many of them, but there are new settlements on the map. And, as you can see, new factions. Now, it's not one or two new factions littered, across the map. It's 50 or so, I think. Basically, what the mod author has done is he has removed the quote-unquote slaves or the rebels faction. Now, every single settlement is controlled by a proper functioning faction with proper AI. So they'll recruit troops, they'll have generals, they'll do diplomacy with you, just like any other major faction in the game. They work. Oh yeah, and that's only the beginning. So the second feature is that any faction in the entire game can have civil wars. How do you get civil wars? Well, it kind of depends on the faction. And then there's also this. Separate trees for each of the families. So, Carthage has 3 separate family trees. Why? Well, there's 3 families, right? There's Barca, there's Hanno, and there's Mago and their families, right? Separate trees for each family. Fascinating, really fascinating. I had no idea something like this can be done, but, it can. There you go. Other than some, minor changes to the game, the really big and important part is the addition of religion to Rome Total War. Religion is present in Barbarian Invasion, but not in this, not in the vanilla Rome Total War. Here, it is though. Now, you do not have priests, but you do have temples, and each temple converts the population to your religion. So in this case, it is the Punic religion. If we go over to the settlement details screen, which should be somewhere in here, we see happiness, governor. Iberian paganism is causing unrest in this settlement. This is, as you can see, going down. Population boom obviously going up, because we are converting the populace ever so slowly. The reason for religion being a thing, other than, the fairly obvious, gameplay religion-wise, other than the fairly obvious, it's implemented from Barbarian Invasion, is it slows down your conquests a little bit and makes the game a little bit harder, a little bit more methodical, etc., etc. To that effect, another thing that happens is when you conquer a new settlement, you have to convert all of the buildings. This also makes things slower, take more time, etc., etc. Now, I don't have any settlement here conquered yet. I've managed to defend Sicily, and my allies have taken Messina, but I can use that as an example. So, you see, this is a Italic governor's villa. This is useless to the Syracuse faction. Now, in the original game, the culture penalty that you get from wrong culture buildings persists, and, it is a thing. It works for all factions. If you capture a different culture's buildings, you have penalties from that until you convert them, and you do that by destroying them or you upgrade them. Right? That's the thing. However, they still provide the functions that they should. For example, you can train peasants and diplomats in a Italic governor's villa, just like in, a Greek governor's villa. Not quite so in this game. Not quite so in this mod. If you, for example, capture a barracks that is a Roman or an Italic barracks, or you in this case, cannot recruit Carthaginian infantry there. You need to convert the building first, and only then will you be allowed to recruit infantry there. Same goes with pretty much all other military buildings, etc., etc. So, other than that, what else is new? Well, there are new cultures, like I said, small additions to the map, a couple of settlements, a couple of new starting factions, emergent factions, for example, the Civil War Roman faction, right? Roman separatists. The way that happens is the game simulates up until a certain date when the Civil War happens, and then lets you have control of the half that separated from the main faction, which means that every time you start the game, it's a little bit different. Very, very fun, very exciting. Now, I think there are minor economic changes as well to the mod, though I'm not entirely sure about that. The one thing that I don't love all that much is the fact that Rome is unified and you can't change it. The 3 Roman families are gone, which is historically accurate. Rome wasn't divided into 3 segments. It was one nation at the time. But I would like the option to have the 3 families separate and keep everything else, but have the 3 families as well, because I love civil wars with the other 2 families, especially when they do really well. And for example, you get the Brutii controlling Greece and Anatolia, the Scipii get hold of Africa, maybe Spain, the Julii, Gaul, parts of Spain, Germania, whatever you prefer, maybe the British Isles, and then, you have a war between the 3 major powers, and it's fun because you've never fought Romans up until that point, and you've practically finished the game, and then it gets a little bit monotonous, but that's kind of the beauty of the Civil War, right? You're using the same units against each other, and so on and so forth. I love the old Civil Wars like that. Now, for the Roman faction, it's a little bit different. Once you get to a civil war, about half of your empire just goes whoosh to the other side, and then you have to fight the other half. To me, that's extremely fun because it's kind of historically accurate, and the timing of when it happens is great. Now, what's also great is that you can avoid the civil war, right? And I think that sort of player choice and agency is critical for a fun game. Now, let's take a look at something else, which I hope I'm going to get working. I'm going to try and try and fiddle with it a little bit. Give me a second. Okay, so I spent a good couple of hours trying to get it work. It doesn't. There was another alternative version of this mod, which incorporated a map mod. Now, the map mod I'm talking about is available for download on the Steam Workshop page. It's actually one of the most downloaded mods for the game. I think it's on the first or the second page. The map mod is... what it does is it essentially makes the map bigger, but not bigger in a geographical sense of it expands the map to India or more of Scandinavia or etc, etc. No, what it does is it just stretches the map, right? So this area is now a lot bigger. Like, you have 3 or 4 settlements here, and to go from here to there takes you like 3 or 4 turns. And it's not just the distance, it does just, this is a bad word, but it kind of just stretches the map out, right? So all of a sudden, this isn't the size of Italy. Italy is more like the size of, it's hard to explain. Like, okay, so let's say this is the most zoomed in you can get into Italy. Let's imagine, right? This is the most you can zoom in into the north of Italy. Well, with this mod, that is the most you can zoom into north of Italy. So it's not only just zoomed in, you know what I mean? It's just the map's bigger, okay? It's just everything's bigger. Italy's bigger, Spain's bigger, etc., etc. Or the Iberian Peninsula, you know what I mean. Everything's just sort of stretched and bigger. I love that map mod to death. I think it's perfect for a game like this. It allows you to use watchtowers strategically, construct forts in the, well, for example, the Alps. Like, this whole stretch, which is tiny here, is like the entire screen on that mod. So you can put a fort in the middle of it, and now, you know, the enemies can't go through without besieging it. You can put some guards on there as well, and it's, you know, it's, even if it doesn't serve a pragmatic purpose, it's good for role-playing. The map mod, I think, is phenomenal. Anyways, this mod, Retrofit, Rome Retrofit, used to work with it. Now it's out of date, though, and it crashes. I can't seem to get it to work. But it might get an update at some point later in the future, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. Either way, we don't have that mod right now, but what we do have is Retrofit. Here, now. Let's jump into a battle, I think, and I will show you, well, I'll show you how not much has changed, but there are a couple of things, at least visually speaking. As far as the unit stats are concerned and everything, it's more or less the same. Alright, here we go. By the way, this doesn't have anything to do with the mod, but I will never get over how accurately the battlefields represent the situation on the campaign map. Like, the Romans were up against the shore, I landed next to my city and met them on the field like this. There's the Roman navy that disembarked the troops here. Alright, unfortunately I can't see my city? Yes, I can. There's my city. It's beautiful. It is genuinely beautiful, and it's a crying shame that there are no more modern Total War games that do this. You know, this you can tell that this was a product of passion back in the day. Remaster obviously just well, remasters it, but you know, the real credit goes to the people that made the game originally. Anyways, let's start off with a formation kind of like this, and actually no, I want the elephants on the side, I think. And let's also pull our units back a little bit. Now, as far as historical accuracy is concerned, this mod doesn't aim to be the most historically accurate piece of art, quote-unquote, from the Steam mod page. Like Europa Barbarum or, what was the other one? RS, right? But it does fix some problems, namely the Egyptians. They are no longer mummies from, you know, Hollywood action movies. No, they are the Ptolemaic dynasty, and they do have some unit changes to them. There are a couple of changes to some of the barbarian Gaelic infantry units, minor things like that. But overall, this is mostly the vanilla unit roster. The unit roster for the new additions to the game, the new factions, is basically just a mishmash of different factions that are already present in the game, as well as some mercenary units. So I'll give you an example. Knossos can recruit Cretan archers in their, not just hire them as mercenaries, they can actually recruit them from their buildings. That's about it. Like, there's a couple of more examples like that, but that's the unit factions. That's the faction rosters. Sorry, more or less. Yeah, that's about it. I am skipping over some minor details here and there, but this is, you know, overall the game. Visually, as you can see, the units have not really changed. I mean, this is the default game with the better, well, not better, but the enhanced graphics pack. So yeah, there you go. And then we have our Numidian cavalry. Alright, let's play this battle out, and I'll talk about why I actually love this mod so goddamn much. So, first of all, from the obvious, let's start with the obvious. The mod adds content, right? It adds, I think, the best elements of Rome 2 Total War, and there aren't many of them. Let's get this out of the way. There aren't that many of, there aren't that many things that Rome 2 Total War did great, but the lack of a rebels or a slave faction, I think, is game-changing in so many ways. I think this is how Rome originally should have shipped. Obviously, there were problems with technology of the time, right? It wasn't really possible to have... Oh dear Lord in heaven. It wasn't really possible to have, 50 or 100 different factions in the game. Now it is, though, with modern engines and stuff like that. Now it is. Technically, every number of... whatever the number of the factions currently is, I think it should be around 70. Technically, it is doubled, because there are around 70, well, not around, but there are exactly as many shadow factions. What I mean by that is just the rebels, right? So if a faction rebels, you get the idea. So yeah, it's really an impressive number, and I look forward to playing this game. I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, it's looking great. Obviously, it's looking really fun. I messed up and I didn't turn on skirmish mode for this, but that's fine because I'm gonna crash into these Hastati, and I think we're gonna be able to break the Roman army into tiny little pieces fairly soon. I need to get rid of those velites. If at all possible. Well, there shouldn't be that many of them, but... yeah, they are mostly just broken. Send our Iberian infantry to deal with this last bit of Hastati. Well, actually, no, not the last bit of Hastati. There is another unit there. Okay, so for them, we'll send the elephants. Now let's crash into this unit instead.
This general is the perfect enemy. Not stand, but runs away.
Other than that, it just obviously adds a little bit more complexity and a little bit more stuff to do to an already amazing game. And you can argue one way or another about the remaster, whether it's worth it or not. I think graphically speaking, it's worth it. It is also pricey, though. Let's not lie to each other. It is pricey, especially for a game this old, with honestly not that much in the way of new things. However, the modding community comes to the rescue for CA once again. I think that now, with this addition of the Retrofit mod, and obviously some of the other mods as well, with Barbarum, RS, and a couple of other ones coming as well, I think this is definitely a lot more worth it now. Just with this mod alone, unfortunately it doesn't play very well with other mods that you might want to put in. There were some compatibility patches, but they're mostly out of date now, so you're going to have to be a bit patient with those. But even all of that said, just with this mod, it is so much better. It's just more fun to play, I'll be completely honest with you. The whole game is just more fun to play. There's more content, and yet it is still the same Rome Total War that I fell in love with back in 2005 or so, whenever this game came out. It is genuinely great. There's more factions, there's more details, but it's still the same game fundamentally on a core level, mechanically speaking as well. So yeah, this is by far for me the perfect mod. I really like some of the other overhaul mods, most of which I've mentioned, but for me they change a little bit too much of the game. The core of what was Rome Total War I still adore to this day, and this mod keeps it and then just, adds a little extra on top, a little bit of seasoning on top, with religion, with you know, the new mechanics, the new civil wars, etc., etc. So yeah, this is truly something spectacular. If they get it to work with that expanded map mod, I will have found my game of the year, honestly, or rather if they patch it. I know some people are complaining about crashes. I have not had any crashes so far, so maybe it's just probably, you should probably just stop downloading illicit content while playing the game. I'm obviously just kidding. I think it's just likes my system. Maybe I've just been lucky and haven't experienced one, but I've played for about 3 hours or so, I think, with the mod. I started a Roman campaign to try them out a little bit, and then started a Carthaginian campaign too. And yeah, it's a great mod. It's a really great mod. I love everything about it. Just wish that the Roman faction, you would have the option to start as the Romans being separated. And obviously I would love to get the map mod, the expanded map mod for it, but other than that, truly a work of art. Yeah, it changes just enough to make it better, but not too much to make it a different game. Really perfect. Anyways, I'm not going to bother cutting this out and loading into the campaign map. I've shown you pretty much everything I need to show you. Oh, there is one more thing, and that's the agent limit mod, or I guess, integrated into the retrofit. The AI can recruit only a certain number of agents based on the number of cities they have. And inspiration has been taken from this, obviously, from Rome 2 Total War, and it's a great system because the AI doesn't spam agents, but it still uses them. So there you go. That's about it. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video. We'll stay tuned with the rest of the content that I produce on the channel. In the description of the video, you will find a link to this mod on the Steam workshop page, as well as a couple of the other ones that I've mentioned. That's it for now. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.